Artificial intelligence is no longer a futuristic concept. It is quietly reshaping workplaces around the world. From hiring to promotions, AI algorithms are increasingly involved in decisions that were once entirely human. Companies now rely on sophisticated systems to analyze employee performance, predict productivity, and even forecast future potential. The appeal is obvious. AI can process enormous amounts of data quickly, making decisions that seem more objective than traditional human judgment. But this rapid shift comes with consequences that many workers barely notice. In modern corporations, AI isn't just a tool, it's becoming a silent authority. Algorithms track key performance indicators, monitor project completion rates, and analyze communication patterns. Everything from emails to meeting participation can be quantified. Even subtle behavioral cues, like response times or engagement on internal platforms, can be incorporated into AI models. For employers, this provides a new level of insight and control, but for employees, it often feels invisible, impersonal, and sometimes even intrusive. The rise of AI in the workplace also changes the power dynamics between employer and employee. Decisions that were once subjective, negotiated, or context-driven are now being handed over to systems that prioritize efficiency, predictability, and profitability. While AI promises fairness by eliminating human bias, it can also codify existing inequalities or reward behaviors that algorithms favor rather than those that truly add value. As AI continues to grow and influence, understanding its role in shaping career trajectories and income becomes crucial. The way salaries, promotions, and opportunities are determined is no longer just about merit or negotiation. It is increasingly about how well you fit into a digital algorithm. The question is no longer if AI will influence your work life, but how much of your career will be controlled by lines of code you may never see. In today's AI-driven workplaces, salaries are increasingly being shaped by algorithms rather than traditional human judgment. These systems collect and analyze massive amounts of employee data, everything from productivity metrics and project completion rates to behavioral patterns, attendance records, and even communication styles. The algorithm then generates a performance score, which directly influences compensation, bonuses, and promotions. What was once a negotiation between manager and employee is now a calculation executed in milliseconds by AI. One of the core appeals of this approach is the promise of objectivity. AI doesn't experience fatigue, favoritism, or personal bias. In theory, it rewards measurable performance and ensures that pay aligns with actual contribution. However, in practice, the reality is far more complex. Algorithms are designed by humans and trained on historical data, meaning they often replicate existing inequalities or unfair practices. Employees may find that their compensation is affected not by the quality of their work, but by factors the system interprets as productive or valuable, according to preset criteria. Another layer of complexity is transparency. Most employees have little to no visibility into how these systems calculate their worth. Decisions feel automatic, and there is often no clear avenue to dispute or negotiate the results. This can lead to a sense of frustration, anxiety, and disempowerment. Workers may begin to optimize their behavior to satisfy the algorithm rather than genuinely improve their skills or work quality, creating a workplace where data compliance becomes more important than creativity or initiative. As AI increasingly governs compensation, it shifts the balance of power. The traditional human element, empathy, judgment, and context, is minimized, replaced by rigid, data-driven systems. Understanding how these algorithms function and how they shape earnings is essential for anyone navigating the modern workforce. The algorithm doesn't just measure performance, it defines value and ultimately decides who thrives and who struggles financially. While AI salary systems promise fairness and objectivity, they are far from neutral. Algorithms are trained on historical data, and if that data reflects past biases, gender disparities, racial inequalities, or favoritism towards certain departments, these biases can be baked into the system. For example, if historically men were paid more for the same work in a company, an algorithm analyzing this data may continue to undervalue women's contributions. What seems like an impartial, data-driven decision is actually perpetuating decades of inequality. Another issue is the definition of productivity. Algorithms often measure metrics such as task completion speed, number of emails sent, or hours logged in a system. This can disproportionately favor employees in front-facing or digital roles while ignoring qualitative contributions like creativity, mentorship, or problem-solving. Consequently, those who excel in less measurable but critical aspects of work may be unfairly penalized. Transparency is another major challenge. Most employees have little insight into how AI calculates their pay, leaving them in the dark about what drives their compensation. Some systems even include opaque weighting mechanisms that adjust salaries based on predicted future value rather than actual performance. Employees may not realize that small behavioral patterns, such as not responding to messages instantly, could negatively affect their pay. The psychological impact is profound. Workers begin to self-censor or alter behavior to appease the algorithm rather than focusing on genuine growth or innovation. This creates a culture where employees are optimizing for metrics, not for meaningful results. Companies that implement AI-driven pay systems without safeguards risk eroding trust, morale, and fairness. Understanding the hidden biases within these systems is essential. The algorithm does not operate in a vacuum. It reflects human decisions, data choices, and corporate priorities. Recognizing these pitfalls is the first step toward demanding systems that truly reward value and foster equitable workplaces. The rise of AI-driven salary decisions is not just about efficiency. It's deeply tied to corporate incentives. Companies are increasingly under pressure to cut costs while maximizing productivity, and AI systems provide a convenient justification for pay adjustments. By relying on algorithms, management can frame salary decisions as objective or data-driven, even when the underlying goal is simply to reduce labor costs or shift financial risk onto employees. This removes much of the scrutiny and accountability that would traditionally accompany pay decisions. Another incentive is the ability to standardize compensation across large workforces. Global corporations with thousands of employees struggle to manually evaluate performance consistently. AI provides a seemingly uniform approach, but this standardization often favors the company rather than the worker. For example, pay adjustments might prioritize departments that generate the highest short-term revenue, while undervaluing essential but less profitable roles. In this way, AI becomes a tool to reinforce corporate priorities and profit motives, sometimes at the expense of fairness. Moreover, using AI allows companies to experiment with predictive pay models. Some systems adjust salaries based on projected future performance or market value, rather than actual contributions. This incentivizes employees to chase algorithmically defined behaviors rather than focusing on long-term value creation or innovation. Employees become conditioned to optimize for the algorithm, not for the company's broader goals. The opacity of these systems also protects corporations legally. If employees question a pay cut or discrepancy, companies can point to the AI as an impartial decision-maker, deflecting blame. In reality, the algorithm is a reflection of human choices, corporate priorities, and data biases. Understanding these corporate incentives is crucial. The move toward algorithmic pay is not neutral. It's shaped by financial motives, efficiency pressures, and control. Awareness of this dynamic is the first step for employees and policymakers to ensure AI is used ethically, transparently, and in ways that truly serve human interests. As AI increasingly dictates salary decisions, the very nature of work is poised to change. Employees will no longer negotiate pay based on experience or tenure. Instead, their value will be continuously assessed and recalculated by algorithms. This shift introduces a profound psychological impact. Workers may feel constant pressure to perform according to metrics that are often opaque and ever-changing. Traditional notions of fairness and recognition are challenged as promotions and raises become contingent on how well one aligns with the AI's predictive model. Yet, this also creates opportunities for adaptation. Employees and labor organizations will need to understand the data and logic behind these systems. Transparency becomes essential. Advocacy for algorithmic accountability, ensuring that AI is auditable, unbiased, and reflective of true performance, is likely to become a central workplace issue. Workers may also turn to personal data literacy, learning how to interpret their performance scores and how to influence algorithmic outcomes responsibly. From a broader perspective, The rise of algorithm-driven salaries raises questions about economic inequality. If AI models incorporate historical biases or prioritize profit-maximizing behaviors, marginalized groups could be systematically undervalued. This necessitates ethical oversight and possibly regulatory frameworks to ensure AI doesn't exacerbate disparities. Ultimately, the future of work in an algorithmic economy will require a balance between efficiency and humanity. Companies may benefit from predictive pay systems, but the human element, motivation, creativity, and well-being, cannot be reduced to a numerical score. The next decade will test how society integrates AI into the workforce, whether it serves human interests or becomes another tool for control. Employees, policymakers, and corporate leaders must engage proactively, shaping the AI economy to enhance fairness, transparency, and shared prosperity. The rise of AI in salary decisions is not a distant possibility, it is here. Understanding its mechanisms, limitations, and impacts is critical to navigate the coming changes in the workplace.